GC here, and we're back with a movie review. 71. Directed by Yann Demange. This movie has Jack O'Connor, Sean Harris, David Whitmore, Richard Dormer, Paul Anderson, and Charlie Murphy, and everyone else. Check down below. So what's this about? Well, 71 is a British historical action film set in Northern Ireland. And it's about a British soldier who's separated from his unit during a riot in Belfast at the height of the Troubles in 1971. And basically, it follows him around, and the different sides of the conflict tries to hunt him down for their various reasons, and that's basically the entire film. So what did I think? Well, first off, I have to be totally honest. I was an hour into this film and I was not really getting it. I looked it up and I realized that it has a 90+% on Rotten Tomatoes, and this film also won the Best Director at the 2014 British Independent Film Awards. And it received also 9 nominations. And then it clicked for me. I realized what I didn't really enjoy about this film was that the dialogue wasn't really there to carry the narrative. Rather, it was the way that it was shot. The cinematography told everything. And I wasn't mentally prepared for this, nor have I seen any movies recently that is done in this fashion. So it felt very off for me. But once it clicked, I appreciated it greatly. In a sense where the dialogue is not really that important. You realize who's who as their demeanor and the way they treat the main character. You know where they're coming from. And seriously, if you muted this movie, you would understand what's happening. And it's really told through the cinematography, and that's just really great, and I totally appreciate it on that level. Now, with that being said, I think many audiences not knowing this going in will have sort of the same vibe that I got, as in there's a lot of heavy accents. For me, I had an advantage as I was watching The Fall from BBC, and it takes place in Belfast, so the accents weren't that strong for me. But if someone wasn't really listening to Irish accents before this movie, it might be hard to get into at times where it's actually really difficult to understand what they're trying to say. And yeah, I think that's the only great thing about this film, is that the way it was shot was just great. And through that appreciation, I understood why I got like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. But when you break it down into characters, the acting, I would say it's rather weak in that sense. As in, Jack O'Connell does show through his expressions and everything, but it doesn't really convey a very convincing character, nor the narrative in the sense where it doesn't drive towards a thriller type of thing where it's trying to go for. There's never really an immediate danger to Jack O'Connell's character. Rather, I felt more scared or thrilled whenever other characters were in the scene and some danger was lurking somewhere. I always knew Jack O'Connell would survive, even though like I don't know what happened in the real life event, but there was no real like, oh my goodness, thrill. Rather, it was just like, okay, these are side characters that could die because they don't really mean that much. What's gonna happen? And I think that's sort of the gripe that I have with this movie, is that it was shot very well, but the characters and narrative could have been done so much more. There was so much more potential. Not even potential, rather it was just empty. It felt empty the way it was shot. It was very nice, but the characters just didn't really do anything. And that's all I really have to say about 71. The trailer makes it look like it's a very like action-packed sort of thing, but rather it's not really. And it's one of those gotcha trailers. So when you go watch this, it's rather slow, and I guess it's sort of more of a realistic sort of sense where what happens when you drop behind enemy lines and you just gotta like scramble to survive. I mean, it is interesting to see this event play out, as in the British and Irish are fighting against each other, and it's just like, what's gonna happen? I think in the historical sense that's interesting, but the movie itself doesn't deliver very much in terms of this actual plot. And yes, I know I try to push for now more of the how rather than the what, but I really felt that the what was really weak here, and I think it's hard for audiences to really appreciate what's there, because how it's shot, in a sense where cinematography is leading in narrative and storytelling, it's not your typical movie at all. So it's very hard to get into the into like the mood to watch it and just watch it solely for that. If you watch it solely for this, I think you'll enjoy it greatly. But if you actually go in and go like, oh, I want to learn about the historical events, or learn about what happens to him, or just see Jack O'Connell act, or see the people around him act, it's just going to be like a tad bit disappointing. So there you have it. That's pretty much all I have to say about 71. If you have seen it, leave your comments down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And that's it for this movie review for 71. Out.